Hello, Garland Nixon here, hanging out with Matt Weinglass. He's an activist and writer and director and producer, and he knows all of the Hollywood stuff. So we're going to talk about the update on the fires and lots of other stuff. Let's talk. Hello, Garland here with Matt Weinglass, and we got a lot of stuff going on that we need to talk to Matt about. I don't know what the heck is going on with Rockfin. I hope I'm on Rockfin sometimes. Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right.
I'm trying to get this thing done. Oh, there we go. We're good. We're on Rockfin.
Rocking and rolling.
All right. I am trying to make sure I got this straight. So let me ask you this, Matt, as I just do my last couple little things here. Sorry about that. I was actually on with Steve Poikonen and a couple other guys, and Ryan, Last American Vagabond.
Oh yeah, love Ryan. Yeah, we've had him on
with those guys. Okay, and it's always so much fun with those guys.
Oh yeah,
always have a blast, man. They're great, very creative thinkers.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get rolling.
Yes.
Let's start here. Throw a couple things at you. Elon Musk, Mr. Free Speech himself, the platform, he stands for free speech. He's all about free speech, right? He just, let's see, they just suspended RT going underground. RT going underground had the temerity to release something about Israel or Gaza from a while back. And what do you know? They're out of here. And RT India. So Mr. Free Speech, this idea that the richest man in the world is the right-hand man of the president of the United States, or maybe even the other way around. I call like Tim Cooks and Musks and Zuckerbergs and all of those guys that were sitting there in front of Trump at the inauguration. I call them the actual board of directors of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Trump's a manager. They're the board of directors. But I'm supposed to believe that a member of the board of directors of the U.S. empire is here for free speech. Oh, and might I add, a guy who makes a lot of money off of government contracts for SpaceX, government contracts for defense. And if I'm not mistaken, the Ukraine military would have no communications if not for Starlink. And this guy's for free speech, except when he's not. Your thoughts?
Yeah, no, we've been seeing this discrepancy from Elon from the beginning when he first got Twitter going. Now, look, all the people captured on the left, they're being told what to be angry at him about, but we know the problem. We know the Israel influence. We know he's been shadow banning people that have been challenging Israel the whole time. So, and aside from that, you mentioned the billionaires lining up, in the front row for Trump's inauguration. This is no different than we've ever had before. There's just one difference is that these billionaires are out in the spotlight. They're on camera, and that's making a lot of people afraid, and specifically the ones that they tell us to be afraid of, which is Elon. But again, they're being told to be afraid of him for the wrong reason. We're having the correct conversation about him. They're afraid that he's doing a Nazi salute. We're understanding that what he's doing is silencing any Palestinian movement against Israel. So it's actually complete opposite. But the billionaire class, make no mistake, they've always been running our country. These guys are just oh, what happened here?
I can still hear you, but you're frozen.
Okay.
Just a purely coincidence, I might add.
I wonder
that we're talking about the ruling elite and the truth about them, and suddenly you freeze. Just plop out real quick, and we'll bring you back. Are you using Google Chrome?
I am on a Microsoft Edge right now.
Chrome, because a lot of times, if do you have Chrome?
I do, yeah.
So, let's sign you out and come back in on Chrome. We usually don't have that trouble, okay?
Okay, no problem.
All right. So, they're going to control it. But, it's just probably pure coincidence that, and of course, who knows? It could be, could very well be that, we do, there are issues with Google Chrome. But yeah, we're making a point, and I see somebody else making a point, and that is that, You got people, and this here's Shelley. Oop, that ain't the one. Here we go. I don't think I'll ever get it. Oh, there we go. MAGA hates big government. What they love are oligarchs. And what she's saying, and it's not just MAGA, I'm with her, and that is you have all of these people who didn't trust the government. They thought the government was up to no good, and they, whether it was through COVID or whatever, and now that their guy Trump is in, they feel like Trump is, the government is now good. You can now trust them. There we go. There's Matt. Oh, now we're cooking with gas, Matt. All right, continue. There you go.
Yeah, no, I was saying, make no mistake, the billionaire class has always been running our government, always been running our country. It's just that these guys are out in front. And again, the Democratic side of things, they are being told what to be afraid of Elon about, but they're not having the real conversations like we're having. And this what you just mentioned about the accounts being shut down, this RT account, this is exactly what the problem is. And there's not too many people speaking up about it. So I'm glad we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I didn't even think about this. So they're like, "Oh, Elon did a Nazi salute." Okay, that's what we're supposed to be worried about. Yeah. Performative. You ever notice when they tell us to like or hate a politician, it's always something performative, right? It's not anything of depth. We're not supposed to dig in deep to who this guy is or what he's doing. Look, so he's all South Africa. We've got to save the South Africans, right? And now Trump, it's like, hey, we've got to stop people coming across the border and all of this. And now what are you going to do? Well, let's bring a bunch of South Africans over here.
Yeah. No, the South Africa.
They're not Americans, are they? But we're going to bring them over there. But let me add this about South Africa. We love South Africa. They're the greatest country. We got to do everything to help them. None of the Afrikaneers or whatever you call them or anything supposed to be bad. So a lot of people look at it and say, well, it's because they're white, right? But wait a minute. The last kind of 3 countries that were together when it came to South Africa, supporting South Africa, who were the last 2 countries supporting them? The last 2, the U.S. and Israel. Yeah. And who was it that helped South Africa get the bomb? Might have been Israel. If the other part you have to look at is this, forget whether the white, black, of course, I'm sure people always will look at that issue. But here's my point. There's always been this incestuous relationship, not just between South Africa and Israel, but very specifically between the Afrikaneers, between the people who were the foundation for Elon Musk's money and his parents' money during apartheid South Africa. They were always very, very connected ideologically to Israel. So this love that Trump and Elon Musk has for the Afrikaneers, I would argue, is more about they supported Israel and Israel supported them when everybody else fell apart with their relationship with Israel in the world. These people still continue to support them. Now, the people who are in charge of Africa now don't, because they were on the bad side of apartheid. But I think you can't overlook the connection of these Afrikaneers and their support and their work with Israel over the long run, so that now that things are looking bad for them, they're going to get paid back by the U.S. empire, and they're going to get their, help for the dirty and evil deeds they've done over the years supporting apartheid Israel.
Well, absolutely, 100%. Garland, this is 100% payback, and that's what's happening. You're not seeing that between the lines. You're not seeing the mainstream media reporting these subtle layers that are very important to this story. We're not, because we understand that, okay, Trump is tweeting out on Truth Social. We got to look into this thing. We've got to see who's being oppressed, who's being attacked right now. And they're using the word genocide right now. This is the part we talked about this on Truthwire yesterday with Fiorelli, and we're looking at that, the use of language right now and what we're supposed to be upset about and angry about. And it just kind of gets a chill down my spine, Garland, when you're using words that you should be using in other areas that we've been in the streets about. We've been talking about genocide for the last 15, 16 months. And yet now you're using this language deliberately and saying we have to look at the white men being suppressed here in this country, in South Africa. We're going to look into it. We're cutting off funding. But like you said, this is a payback. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because when a bunch of goose stepping, Sieg Heil screaming guys are attacking Russia, and we say Putin's doing a genocide against the Nazis, and we didn't say anything all the time when they were lobbing shells into eastern Ukraine, killing 16,000 civilians. No problem there, whatever. And when the Russians say, "Hey, we had enough, we're fighting back," and by the way, the U.S. is arming them and doing it, what have you. No, and then all of a sudden, the ICC now is going to say that the president of Russia has a warrant out for him. Why? Well, he was literally taking children out of a war zone and putting them into a non-war zone. We never got one complaint from the parents. So the parents of these children didn't have a problem with it, but the international community, the International Criminal Court comes in and says, well, the parents may not have a problem with it, and they may not have complained, but the U.S. does. And what's interesting is this. So now the U.S. says, well, the ICC is going to be sanctioned for going after Israel, of course.
Of course.
And people are all like, oh, the poor ICC. The ICC is nothing but a tool. They brought it on themselves. If you're an imperial tool, when the empire uses you to go after their enemies in Russia, okay, you're all happy to do it. And when now your bosses have said, okay, go after him. Yes, sirree. And you go after him with a crap case. And now they say, don't go after him. Well, I'm sorry. You've already set the standard, ICC. You're an imperial tool. And your masters told you to go after somebody. You went after them. Now your masters are saying, don't go after them. And you're like, well, I think we'd be kind of embarrassing. We have to. And your masters are coming down on you. I don't even feel sorry for the International Criminal Court, for the U.S. Sanctioning them and going after them, because they're nothing but a tool in the first place.
Well, yeah, and I agree. They're a tool. And of course, if they say something right, we're going to say, hey, they got this right. But we have to understand and look at the historical context every time that their only placement is exactly where we tell them to place. And that was very apparent when they called Netanyahu an international criminal. At the same time, calling Hamas international criminal at the same time. We're like, okay, are you going to get this exactly right, or just going to kind of tease it? And so we understand there's a placement element to it, and they are a tool. So we get that 100%. So I kind of agree with your sentiment about not feeling too sorry for them at this point.
Yeah, I'll put it like this. Look, if you are a legitimate court, either you're a legitimate court or you're not. One of the two. You can't be a legitimate court sometimes and a tool for the empire or the tool for your masters other times, right? Either you are or you're not. And once you're like, well, because what do the Africans call it? The Africans call it, this is a fact, the Africans refer to the ICC as the white man's court, right? Because the ICC, up until they went after Slobodan Milosevic, which that was the tool. The U.S. empire said you got to go after him. Other than that, they'd only gone after like Africans and Middle Easterners. They only went after brown people, and it was simply a tool to use to go after African leaders or whoever the U.S. wanted to take down so they could steal their uranium and gold and whatever the hell else they had, right? So that's all it was, as a tool. But Milosevic, it's a tool. They go, well, we're going after Putin now. Oh, what do you know? He's not black. I guess he's a honorary African black dude, I guess, because they're going after him, right? And to think that this nothing but tool for imperialism, tool for bad things around the world. Okay, so now this tool says we're going to go after Netanyahu, but we're going to we got to soften the blow a little bit and say, yeah, Hamas did something too, right?
Yeah. And
people are like, oh, it's terrible what they're doing to the ICC. And from my perspective, it's never been legitimate. It ain't legitimate. And it can't be illegitimate for all of these years, a tool for the powerful, all of these years. And now all of a sudden I think, well, they're going after Netanyahu, so they're legitimate. They ain't legitimate.
Yeah, no, fair assessment. Definitely. I want to look at this EFF leader, because that's who's been getting the attention right now. What is your thoughts, Garland? Because I'm trying to figure out this Malema guy, Julius Malema.
Yeah, familiar.
Yeah, I'm interested in your take on that, because we were looking at that yesterday over on Truthwire, and we wanted to kind of just this kind of thing going on Twitter as far as like getting everybody kind of upset about this guy, this EFF leader. I mean, just kind of want to.
Over the course of time, I don't know that much about him. I've listened to a lot of stuff that he said that I liked over the course of the years. I remember when they were like, hey, South Africa is not going to, they're arguing with South Africa about not doing business with Russia earlier in the war, and not, you can't allow Russian ships to be there. And I remember him coming on and saying, if it was up to me, I'd give Russia everything they wanted. I'd ally with Russia. I'd give them weapons if they wanted. He was like, screw all of you guys. I'd support Russia 100% if I was in charge of South Africa. Over the course of times, I've seen him say a lot of things that I was like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Really, really good stuff. So I don't know. I do know now that they're going to totally and completely demonize him because he's going to oppose. Nobody could oppose Israeli apartheid more than this guy. So I don't know. Look, once the system starts demonizing somebody, I get suspicious.
Oh, yeah. And all you got to look is the wording. We always look at the verbiage. What kind of verbiage are they using? And we looked at this clip that, was kind of circling yesterday on Twitter. And there's a lot of prominent people that are quoting him saying, he's saying, Malema is saying, cut the throats of white people. But it's not actually, he's saying, cut the throats of whiteness. And we've had word games played here. We know the word games from January 6th, right? We know how you can take words and go, look, Trump is calling for, the death of all these politicians, and, show up to DC, show up to the Capitol and kill them. And it's like, that didn't actually happen. You're taking words and you're changing them. If you want to make your point, get the words correct. If you're not getting the words correct, either the best case scenario, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that you're just being sloppy. But when you really look at it, it's probably a twist on the words to make your point make more sense. And that's an old trick. We see it all the time. And I'm seeing it right now with Malema. And it's very obvious. They're trying to make him look like a guy he's calling for the extermination of white people. I don't see it. And it's like, if you can show me the proof, like you're talking about a genocide, I'd like to see that proof. And I cannot find it. We can show you proof of a genocide in Palestine, in Gaza. That's easy. All you got to do is bring up your cell phone. It's right in front of you. So I want to see that, and they can't seem to back it up. So they're playing word games right now. This is Elon doing this right now. And a lot of Elon's, people that are supporting him with this, rather than being critical and saying, well, what are you doing with this? And then we saw his dad was saying as well, there isn't really an issue here with white people feeling threatened. There's not really a problem. So we saw that as well. So I wasn't sure on your take on that, Garland, but to me, I always look for the verbiage that's being used at first to try to get people, wild up and kind of emotional. That's usually the name of the game, to get people, emotional to start.
Yeah, so I haven't seen any of I guess I ought to, any of the latest videos of what Malema is or isn't saying. I'll tell you a couple of things about that. I don't know. Over the course of time, like I said, in the past, I heard a lot of stuff from him that I thought, man, that's great and bold. I don't know. I'd have to see. I'm always suspicious when the system all decides that some guy's a bigot, some guy's this, some guy's a racist, some guy's science. He's science. You're going against, you know what I mean? Yep. When they tag somebody as the good guy, or the system tags somebody as the bad, evil guy, I'm very, very suspicious of it. Let me say this. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he's a racist, that he's the biggest bigot in the world. In a way, I would defend that a little bit. Let me tell you why. Because my dad was a racist bastard. He was a bigoted guy. Wow. Yes, he was. Now, let me tell you something. If you sat down and you listened to the stories of my dad, of what he went through as a Black person in his life in the 40s and stuff like that, you would say to yourself, I mean, I grew up, I wasn't in segregated schools. The area I lived in was mostly white. And, my parents were born poor, but they became middle class and so I didn't go through what he went through. I saw a lot of stuff, right? But in hearing what he went through, I understood. I knew my dad was a racist, bigot guy against white people. I knew it. But I understood, if I went through the shit he went through, he could tell you stories. He'd be like, holy crap. You know what I mean? That's some racist crap right there. And that was his life, day-to-day basis. How would you go through that and not end up angry at the system and the people that did it? It doesn't make sense. So I would just simply say, yeah, I knew my dad was a racist bigot against white people. And I'm not, but I understand the shit he went through. That's right. The result. So my point is this. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that Malema is a bigot. Do you know what the hell the people in South Africa, what they went through, what
Yeah.
he went through? So
Yeah.
if he is, I'm opposed to bigotry, I'm opposed to racism, just like I did. But I loved my dad and I understood. It's like a woman is in a relationship and with some guy and he beats the hell out of her
Yeah.
for 20 years and then she gets out of it and she kind of thinks that men are bad and she's got a thing against men, and you're like, look, it's not good to be in feel that way against men. Men are not all that way. But I understand, based on what you went through, that your
Exactly.
paradigm was created by the abuse that you faced. And I think I take those things into account, logically speaking.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you made that comparison to abused women, because the issue here isn't what do you think about a certain type of person based on your personal experience. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about taking that opinion, that prejudice or racist idea, and expanding it into something more dangerous and violent, and saying words are violence. That's the problem. So you take the abused woman and you then all of a sudden, because she has this opinion about men, now let's turn her into the Charlize Theron character from Monster, who's going around killing men. So there's a massive difference between those two people. And so we have to watch out and we see this here. We see this in our own, we see politicians for their political convenience taking people who have very harsh things to say about people and saying, he just incited violence. He just incited violence with his words. So we have to watch out for that. So you make a great point about your father. I think we can have that discussion. But once you start saying a person of influence you have to read between the lines. He's saying get in the streets and kill people. No, he's not. He's expressing his views of a certain people, and we can have that discussion. But if you're intentionally trying to steer it that way to get people excited, get them afraid, get them ready to fight back, then you're the one that's inciting violence, not the person that you're trying to manipulate into being that person.
And historically, look and find me every single time the government has the latest evil demon, Putin. He's fill in the blank, right? I know people who are like, yeah, Putin's a dictator, Putin's this. And I'm like, well, give me a little bit of background. Tell me about Putin and how do you know? Then they look with just stupefied face on it. They know that Putin's an evil dictator, but they have no idea
Yeah.
why. Because Assad, he's terrible. He's killing his own people. He's eating them alive. He's doing this and that. Only tell me about Assad. Huh? So every time historically, when the government decides that a person, whoever it is the latest evil demon who must be hated, and they put all of this stuff out in the media and on Twitter about this particular individual, how evil and terrible and horrible they are. I've never seen an instance where it's true, where it's I'm not saying the person's always perfect or great or wonderful. I'm saying every single time, a couple years later, you look back and you're like, yeah, that's pretty much. And then as soon as it's not convenient, that they don't need that person as a demon anymore, a new demon arises. It might be the president of Mexico. It might be the president of Canada. Another demon will be needed. And when that demon is needed, they will go all out to create that person as the evil demon. So now they've told us Maliva's a bigot. He wants to kill all white people. How many white people has he killed in his life? None. But he wants to kill them all now. Why the hell did he wait all this time to decide to kill all the white people till just right now is when he decided? But he didn't. He had all these opportunities to do it. It's just another bull crap psyop, and the poor suckers who believe this crap every single time are going to believe it. I don't believe it. I don't know what the deal is on him, but I ain't buying into he's an evil bigot. How do you know? Because Trump and Elon Musk and the entire government told me he's an evil bigot. Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, but they have us trained to have our mind like that. People don't get curious about anymore. The reason this is never the case, Garland, like you're saying, it never checks out, is because it's an elementary assessment. And that elementary assessment is done on purpose. So we fully believe, and I know it happened here in Hollywood. Oh my God, it happened here like crazy. February of 2022. They told us that Putin just woke up one morning and decided to take over the world, and he's going to start with Ukraine. And if we don't stop him, he's going to keep going into the West, and it's going to be lights out for the planet, because he just decided, he just got the idea one morning. Today I'm going to be evil. And that sticks with people. People believe that. They don't get curious about, well, what happened before February 2022. They don't want to know. They like the simplified version of it, and it gets them excited. And we're trained to think that way. And I saw all my Hollywood friends here. Everybody fell for that. Everyone. And I was like you, and I didn't. It took me a little bit more to figure out all of those details of what happened in 2014, the Maidan coup, all of this stuff. I didn't know, but I was willing to find out because I was curious. And I just wish that more people can be curious in the moment and don't have to wait 20 years to go, oh yeah, that thing. You remember that Iraq thing with the weapons of mass? Yeah, we kind of got that wrong. Why can't we have that ability to be critically thinking about it in the moment and want to know more than this elementary assessment that they shove down our throats?
And now add this. Oh, Malema wants to do this, that, or the other, right? He's the leader of a minority party in South Africa. Am I right or wrong? That is
No.
really doesn't have any much say in the government, and he doesn't have any power to do anything. Is this the leader of South Africa saying it? No. Can you imagine? It would be like somebody saying, we've got to stop the United States. Why? Because the leader of the Green Party said they want to do this, that, or the other.
Yes.
Well, the Green Party leader has no authority to do any damn thing. This guy has no authority whatsoever in the government. Why are we focusing on a person that has like no authority whatsoever? His party has very little power in the government. They're acting as though that Julius Malema can pick up the phone tomorrow and say, kill all the white people, and they'll just do it. So I'm not afraid that the Green Party, I'm not going to look at what the leader of the Green Party says and say, I'm scared because the Green Party said they want to do this. And so it's going to happen. I'm going to be like, okay, well, the leader of the Green Party said it, but they don't have anybody in Congress. It's like the machine. It's like, you know what? People kill me. They're like, did you believe the government during COVID? No, they were lying like hell. Are you kidding me? Did you believe them about the whole Russiagate stuff? Oh my God, no, they lying sons of every single one of them. Oh, what about Julius Malema? Now they got that one right. They're completely 100%. They're always lying.
Yeah.
But now that Trump is in, and if you're a Trump supporter, they're telling the truth because a minority party in we are told that a minority party in South Africa who has little, if any, political power in the country now runs the whole country, and they're going to decide the direction of the country.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Green Party analogy is spot on because it's like you got these two other parties. One is actually far more superior than the second one, and there's this distant third. It's a complete distant third. Like we're talking this EFF group that Malema started. Not even close. Like not even in the spectrum of discussion. Like he wouldn't be allowed on the stage in a presidential debate. Like
exactly,
he'd be that person that wouldn't be allowed. Yeah. Exactly.
He's Jill Stein. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Exactly.
He's Gloria, what's her name? The head of the PSL party or whatever, right? It'd be like other countries saying we have to deal with the U.S. Why? Because the head of the party for socialism and liberation and the Green Party are getting together and they don't like our country. We've got to stop the U.S.
Yeah.
They just buy. How people buy into these psyops is the best for me. Why would we make policy in the U.S. based on what the minorityist of minority parties in another country says? Because we are always getting a psyop. And because if we listen to what the actual government and the people in charge are saying, we may think a little bit differently. So they find the most extreme person. I mean, they might as well like find some guy who's kind of like in Durban somewhere sitting back smoking a joint. You know, I think we should kill some white people. Some guy named Joe. Oh my God, a guy named Joe who's on the corner smoking a joint said kill white people. We got to make our whole policy based on that. It's just amazing to me. Okay, I got something else I want to ask you about.
Yeah.
The FBI has found some JFK files. I actually saw this article talk about a psyop. They had a picture of like an old like a file cabinet with like the drawers half pulled out and papers falling off of it. You know, we're supposed to get that picture in our mind that somebody walked into a back room and just like, oh gee, I have to dust things up. And you know, like Frank Drebin in Police Files, he's cleaning out his file cabinet. Oh, what do we got? Wow, the missing JFK files. Oh, who knew?
It might have been found in Joe Biden's garage, right?
Yeah.
You know, that picture of Yeah, look, we got it. Or Trump's bathroom or something. It was one of this, yeah, like walking in the room and discuss the cobwebs, brushing them off. Yeah, this is unfortunately this is looking like another theater charade or psyop to make us think that we're getting closer to the goal line here. But what we know about the JFK files, that this idea that Trump's going to be releasing everything and the American people are going to get everything, it's not going to happen. We were so quick to announce that, and I'm guilty of that too. We were very excited. We saw that news break a few weeks ago, and we're like, wow, this is happening. This is good. No, if you look closer into those into his executive order, even it's designed to be very picky, choosy about what we're actually going to get, and we haven't even gotten yet. So now you got this FBI story, and of course, yeah, this whole thing seems to me, on the surface, this is just a theater piece for people to think that we're making any progress, but we're not going to get the story of JFK. We're just not. There'll be little pieces sent to us, and that's how it's just going to be. And all these, by the way, it's going to be the same with MLK. It's going to be the same with RFK. If we ever get to 9/11, it's the same thing. They're just going to give us little droplets here and there. The American people are never going to be given the truth willingly. Nobody in power gives over information. Information is power, right? So we're not going to give it over willingly. It's not going to happen. Nothing that's going to rock our boat, rock our lives. We have to continue doing the investigation. We have to keep putting the dots together. It's not going to be handed to us on a silver platter.
Yeah, here's an example, and I did a show with what's his name from Covert Action Magazine with Jeremy. Uh, um, Sorry about that. Let me move this over where we can see it a little bit better. With Jeremy Kuzmarov, right?
Yes.
Here's the bottom line, and Jeremy brought up a good point, and I forgot about it. And what he said was, look, so they're saying they're going to release this and that. It's almost pretty much all out there. There's all of these books written. There's all of these information. I tell you what you do. You go to Covert Action Magazine, right? Anybody who wants to. There's several other places you can go, and you just search JFK. Right. And you will find article after article about it. Right. CIA media asset, FBI, on and on and on. There's article after article. Right. There's so much out there right now. There is no doubt what happened, and most of the information is out. The names are out of who was involved. Everything's out there. So the truth of the matter is, they're saying we're going to release this stuff. Well, most of it's already known. We've got people who have made deathbed confessions. We got a guy who had cancer who made a deathbed confession. He was a former New York City police officer, a black guy who felt bad about the Malcolm X death. So he did a deathbed confession all about how the FBI was behind that, and he was involved in what he did and how they used that. So the bottom line is this: they're going to say to us, we're going to release some information. Well, the information's already out there. In my opinion, what they'll release is something to guide us away from the information that's already out there. It's more likely than anything else.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. That's and I like that. This is what I was just saying, and you're putting it into action. So people watching this, we can do our own homework. We can put this together ourselves. These deathbed confessions this is good stuff. This is stuff they can't stop that. They can't stop him from putting that out there. So we have access to it. I'm going to go to this later today. I'm going to go to this website and look at this stuff. We have the ability to do this ourselves, but I think that's what it's always been about. It's always been about the people have to organize. We have to find our own information. We got to put it together. We can't wait for anybody in power to just feed it to us. It's never going to happen. But yeah, the truth, it's right in front of us for sure.
Yeah. There's another website, I think, is that Jefferson Morley, jfkfacts.org, that's been around. So bottom line, like we're saying, the info is there's so much info out there that if you do your own research on this stuff, that you can find it, right? You got jfkfacts.org, but like I said, you can go to Covert Action Magazine and just do a search on JFK and you'll find so much stuff on it. Now, what I see more likely is some kind of a psyop to drive us away from the truth about it. Now, let me ask you about this. Let's throw the next thing at you. I think that is important. You're in LA. The LA fires. What do we need to know? What's the latest? What's the scam going on?
Oh, man, it's because these incidents occur and everybody's paying attention, and then there's that timeline that always comes out for people, they lose their attention, they go on to other things. We're still here, we're still dealing with this, especially the people that are displaced. We know that Altadena has gotten the least amount of coverage out of everyone. The Palisades, we spoke about this, Garland, how the Palisades gets all the attention. They're all the ones hooked into the media, hooked into the elite class. They get all the attention. Altadena is still suffering right now. Now, look, there's the way that local news has been presenting this, which is really, really like disturbing. They're showing these kind of puff pieces on Gavin Newsom being very he's being very assertive right now, getting a plan in place to build back, right? This whole build back better. Hey, you can't build back better until you burn it to the ground. So we're actually doing this build back better initiative, where it's the LA Fire Recovery Initiative. And what he did was, Newsom has assigned three philanthropists, I'll say philanthropists in quotes, but we have Magic Johnson, Mark Walter, but the one that sticks out, the guy's name is Casey Wasserman. And so these are the three that were assigned for this initiative to put everything back together. Now, Casey Wasserman this is the problem. This is a guy who was buddy, like best friends with Jeffrey Epstein back in the day. He's already the chair of the LA 2028 Olympics. So he's been putting together this smart city plan since 2020. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is a plan. It's been out in the public. You guys can look it up. It's a smart city plan for LA. It's been going since the lockdown, since 2020. And so now that you got all this devastation, you got people displaced, this idea that we're going to build back their homes, it's not going to happen like that. What's happening is the banks are coming in and buying everything up. And we know that, and this is the part that's really disturbing, Garland. I got to say, on the local news, they are celebrating that Newsom is changing the zoning laws. This is not a conspiracy. This is something they have packaged it in a way where he's helping people, because he's saying this, there's no way any of these single family homes can afford to build back their single family residence. So what we're going to do is make it illegal for them to do that. So they can't even do a single family residence. Why can't they do that? Because he's changed the zoning laws. It's only going to be for apartments and these complexes owned by the bank. So you can build your life back, but you're not going to own your property anymore. That's what's happening. And they're going, wow, what a great idea. Way for Gavin Newsom to identify the problem in advance and solve this problem, so people don't have to worry about building back their own property. They're just going to have to buy it in with someone else and take the payout from the bank or whatever. So and again, there's a plan in place to upgrade LA to a smart city in time for the 2028 Olympics. We see it all on the page. There's a paper trail a mile long on this. That's it. That's what's happening. Again. Oh yeah, great. So we're looking at Wasserman right here. Glad you brought this up. This should be concerning to everyone, not just in LA, but around the country. We should be looking at this right now. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, this is the Wasserman Foundation. We can look at the wonderful things he's doing. Health. We've got some Healthy Schools initiative that he worked with the Clinton, the Clinton Foundation on.
Of
All
course.
these things: arts and culture, service, global initiatives. We partner with organizations that help meet global challenges like the Clinton Foundation and Human Rights Watch. Let's see whatever else he's working with. That's pretty much it. The Clinton Foundation, huh? And you know what would happen is, if you started to look through this thing, you would find that it's part of that international machine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You would find that giving, education, service. There we go. Health. That's the one I always find interesting in Alliance for a Healthier Generation. The MPTF Foundation. What the heck is the MPTF Foundation? No results found. Motion Picture and Television Fund. Oh, okay. Bottom line is this. If you start, every time this stuff happens and you look at the people who are there, you find the Clinton Foundation. I bet he's running from USAID right now. They trying to wait a minute. MPTF, no results found. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if they had like USAID money all over the place. And suddenly you know what I've noticed? If you start looking at these websites for these foundations, the Knight Foundation, the Rock, you start finding all of these pages now that USAID is on the crappers that have suddenly disappeared. That there's no results, there's no nothing. They've just disappeared while they reorganize how the hell they're going to explain what they're doing. So it just sounds to me like the Casey Wasserman Foundation is the George Soros Open Society Foundation. It's the whatever the case, just another scam that the global machine uses.
Yeah. No, we have to look at, so when we see, again, the word philanthropy, you're going to see that tied to all these people. We see it all the time. And, Magic Johnson, he's got such a great rapport in the community. And we saw him on that stage with Hillary Clinton a few weeks back. You remember the whole Medal of Honor ceremony? It's like, oh, what a good guy. But he's no, look, I'm not trying to do a whole, deep dive on Magic Johnson. But I'm saying that there's a sentiment about these type of people that the public gets told that these are good people. These are good. Now, Magic Johnson's not a billionaire, I don't think per se, but once you start getting into more of that multimillionaire level, and you get into that Bill Gates level next, you're starting to look at that. This is the exact opposite of philanthropy. We're looking at this kind of organized crime kind of stuff going on. That's what we're looking at. You might as well just call it that. Like this is organized crime going on with people with a lot of money that pretend they're doing good for the world with all these crappy names of organizations with good feel good names in their companies, which fool people. It always fools people. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We can go on. You and I know this stuff. A lot of people, they see this stuff and they go, oh, that sounds nice. I bet that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, look at the good work that he's doing. I mean, he's doing fine work.
Oh my
I'm
God.
sure you two would approve of this safe and effective work that he's doing. I just clicked on one of his links and look at this. What you should know about flu, COVID-19, RSV vaccines for kids. Whole child health forum boosts families' education and confidence in vaccines. There we go. They're doing fine work. Another great job done by the people at Healthier Generation.
Oh, there it is. And that's again, there's a name of a company, Healthier Generation. Oh, that sounds good, Garland. That must be a good thing. Look at
they gotta be good because look, they've got a diverse group of children. That kid's kind of brown and a white female and black, kind of Asian looking eyes there. So they got a bunch of diverse kids. You're a racist if you don't want to make sure that all this diverse group of children don't get their COVID vaccines once a month.
It's just this is awful. It's awful. This is insane. And I should point out that Karen Bass is up to the same stuff. I just found out like a couple days ago. She also has been aligning stuff particularly for LA as the mayor of LA. She has this company. I haven't been able to do a deep dive into it yet, but it's called Haggerty Consulting, based in Chicago. So she just made this decision, didn't announce it. We just found a paper trail. So there was no official announcement. She has selected them to do all of the work here in LA it's called Disaster Consulting. So it's this company based out of Chicago. I haven't done the deep dive yet, but again, these are things that they just spin to the public. We don't have really any say in it. And most people are going to look at it and go, oh, that sounds about right. Okay.
There we go. Dolly Parton receives Recording Academy and U.S. Department of State's Peace Through Music Award. Yes, sirree. The State Department, they're always looking for peace. So that's the Wasserman Foundation. And anybody who has any thought or any concern with what this guy might be doing connected to the fires and think that he's out there he's going to help the little guys, the poor little black folks in Altadena. He's going to make sure they get their houses back. That's the game, isn't it?
And Dolly Parton, of course, she's aligned. This is you guys remember she took her song Jolene, turned it into vaccine. I don't know if you saw that. It was disgusting. She's like looking at the camera, goes, guys, if you don't get this thing, you're a piece of crap. It's basically what she told everyone. You're living in fear. You're a coward. She just bullied the crap out of you. Sung a little song, said if you don't get this, you're gonna die. So she did that. And of course, we see her on that website. Of course.
Let's see. Service. He's got the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation. That's part of, isn't that interesting? Let me show you. Let's look at this. What the Wasserman Foundation. Let's look at some more of this. The guy who's involved in making sure everything is just wonderful. And here's something he's doing. The Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation. Oh, we've got to look out for let's click on it and see what we find.
Helping people.
People helping people. See, that's what you don't understand, pal. that
Yeah.
there's people helping people. Welcome to the official LA Fire Department Foundation website. Right there you go. You can
Mm.
support them. You can give them money. Now, don't get me wrong. They've taken all of our friggin' tax dollars, and God only knows what they've done with it. 700,000 or something to the leader and all that. Vital equipment and funds. So I'm supposed to contribute money. I thought people that lived in LA who paid taxes people were already contributing, and now they got a website. Look at that. Uh, LA Fire Department personnel costs is 97%. Tools and equipment, 3% of their budget. There
Wow.
we go. Building a safer funding needs. Ways to give funding highlights. Thank you to our generous donors.
I'm
Wait a
surprised.
minute.
Oh,
Here's their
yeah.
donors.
Oh,
Motorola, Bank of America, Annenberg, Tides, Air Lease Corporation, the Confidence Foundation, Marathon, AT&T, Harbor Freight Tools.
wow.
Yeah, and you
I'm,
ever notice they always sound good? It's like the Children's Trust. Oh, they always have these great names for these places, and when you look into it, it's just like another globalist warmongers, run by Pfizer or something such crap, standing up for children.
yeah, and they're asking us for their help, for our help. This is like, remember when the Oprah and The Rock did that for Lahaina? I mean, it's just disgusting. You're like, please, guys, you have to give out of your heart, out of your paychecks. You guys are living paycheck to paycheck. 80% of Americans are one medical emergency away from bankruptcy. We have homeless crisis all over the place, especially here in California. We got the worst homelessness in the country. And you're going to ask us to give money to a company that you formed with all these other corporations already financing and supporting it. It's insane. They ask us to help.
Well, we know the Children's Trust.org is good because they offer free
Of
immunizations. Keep
course.
your child safe with up-to-date vaccinations available through various provide clinics and mobile. Yeah, there we go. So the Children's Trust is a really good organization. They're doing all kinds of wonderful things. Free vaccinations, free everything you can need.
You got to get those kids that Hep B, Garland. You got to get it's very important that there's that STD. You never know, they could get that immediately at birth. So like so get them their Hep B shot immediately, right when they're born. Very
Isn't it
important.
interesting that every single thing that you connect to these people always comes back to some vaccination program?
Mhm.
It somewhere, I will guarantee you, if you start clicking through Wasserman's, you'll find something about Ukraine. You'll find something about Syria. You'll find something about Gaza. You'll find something about, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And don't forget the connection with Epstein. That's also very important. We've seen the paper trail there. They were buddy the whole time, and Maxwell as well. Maxine, the both of them together with Wasserman. So we have that relationship. Yeah, there's a record there too. So we got to look at all this and be very concerned here in California, specifically here in LA. Very concerned what they're doing in these next few years. I mean, we're going to stay on it here. Homeless Left Show. We're here. We're on it every day. And I just hope, also, there's some documentary crews coming in too. I'll tell your audience, Garland, we have people working on this. We got a press TV team coming in. I'm working directly with them. We're gonna hear the stories from the people themselves. Don't forget all the other stuff that happened. We know State Farm canceled everybody's insurance 2 months before the fires. We know how people are being treated. We know that the water, the reservoir, the Palisades Reservoir was completely bone dry. So we know these things. Let's not forget the story. Let's not forget the series of events that led to this. And we're going to definitely keep eyes on it as we move forward.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just looking. I looked Washington Foundation, Charity Navigation Program, charitable organization headquarters, Ukraine Relief and Recovery Fund.
Oh,
Hmm.
you were right.
Yeah, I mean, well, you start searching them for
Yeah,
Ukraine, and you find that their work is Ukraine, Ukraine,
of course.
Ukraine. You just know
Hmm.
that all of the regime change crap, all of that stuff, and now he's come to help out the poor people in the fire, who were fire. And what else? So anyway, what else do we need to know besides Wasserman? What else do we need to know about anything else? Updates on the fires?
That's all we have right now. I just saw the Karen Bass thing. I'll say that again. I'm going to look into that. The Haggerty consulting firm from Chicago. She just assigned them that. No official announcement. We just had to find it ourselves. She's just doing this behind the scenes. That's Karen Bass, and we know she's on a leash. She from the beginning of this. Got to remind people she didn't She didn't go mute because she's a complete airhead and idiot. She went mute because she was waiting for her handlers to tell her what to say. So we have to be better about that. I think we had this discussion before, Garland. I want to just assure the viewers to go back to any time you think that a leader is being a complete moron and won't speak. The reason they're not speaking is because their handlers didn't give them the script yet. That's something we have to be better about detecting that. They're not an idiot. They're just being controlled. And so that's our mayor, Karen Bass, is 100% being controlled. She's being told what to do every second of the day. And that's how it works. And, I don't know what to say like that. So our elected officials are on leashes, and they work for those people. They don't work for us. So we have to remind ourselves that. And these moments are pull the curtain back moments when they're out of words. They have nothing to say. They're waiting for their script.
Let me give you another one, and I'm going to get your thoughts on this. This is one that I think is worth. I don't know if it's true or false, but I think it's worth looking at. Fox buys Red Seat Ventures, which backs podcast by Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly. Acquired Red Seat Ventures, a media company that supports podcasts and other digital ventures services for creators, including Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Bill O'Reilly. Here's my thoughts. It could be a psyop that is designed to discredit Carlson and Megyn Kelly, etc. That's one thought. The other reverse opposite side of the coin is that the machine, as everybody leaves CNN and MSNBC and goes to YouTube or Rumble or Rockman or whatever the hell, right? And they realize it, that basically their idea would be, well, let's just buy that. And we'll just go over there and we'll just migrate over there and pretend to be 5 podcasts, and we'll own all of the podcasts. And then Google, with their algorithms, can throw us all off, or just make sure we get no subscribers, that we get nothing, and shut us down. And now they can pretend that they have alternative media when they still own it. I don't know either one of those. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm starting to think that I'm leaning towards that second theory there, Garland, because the more the trajectory seems to be going that direction. I mean, you look at even someone like Tucker Carlson when he left Fox. I mean, we thought, wow, this guy, he had this epiphany. He had 20 years. He's like, man, I was the bad guy, and he's telling people out loud. How could that be a bad thing, that a guy is saying, I was the bad guy. I'm no longer going to be that bad guy. I'm going to go over to this space and do this thing independently. And again, these people, they'll get things right a lot of the times, but I think that gets our trust. They garner our trust and respect. And then all of a sudden, like you're saying, like, you watch the trajectory. Little by little, they're all going over there, and they all have different voices. They're not all like on the right side with Israel and Gaza. I got to give Tucker Carlson that credit. He's definitely on that right side. I wish Megyn Kelly would wake the hell up on that one. But the point is, overall, from a macro point of view, and you can see the trajectory here, they're going into this space. I'm starting to think that is it. The idea is you buy up independent media and you pretend that it's independent. You pretend it's this podcast arena. They're like, we'll just mimic the thing that Joe Rogan's doing. That's the idea. We want that audience. And you saw Tucker, his audience just like tenfold since Fox, and he was the number one on Fox. So they're following this blueprint. So I think we have to be very, very careful. And in our space, Garland, it's so important because we are non-tribal. We're not on a team. We're seeing a lot of MAGA people that are like, no, Trump's taking down the system. He's taking down the deep state. It's like, no. We have to be very careful about this. So as we look at these talking heads going on our platform, in our space, we have to be very careful about what's going on and where the funding's coming from and what the ultimate goal is. And if they take this space from it, if that's it, if that worst case scenario does happen, I'm afraid of what we do next. If they have now dominated this space, where is the alternate from there? If people think they're watching alternate media, they think they're sticking it to the mainstream, but they're watching talking heads from the mainstream, just in a different place. What do we do about that at that point? So I think we have to stay ahead of this. But yeah, I am leaning towards that second theory there, unfortunately, looking at it right now.
Yeah. Now, I want to, and I want to make it, but make sure people understand that we're brainstorming and that we're saying, look, he says he's leaning towards it. Matt says he's leaning towards the second theory. Just to remember, they're both theories. We don't
Yes.
know. And what's important is that we have this conversation, because I say, look, if they want to discredit Tucker Carlson, one of the ways they can discredit him is to put out a bunch of stuff that says a company that he's nominally connected to is now owned by Fox. Therefore, we all go, oh, he's the Fox puppet. And they can discredit him that way. So I'm not going to put that. I'm not going to say that ain't happening. That's a possibility. The other possibility is that they're like, look, we screwed up. We didn't see that everybody was going to alternative media. So let's just, as you said, kind of clandestinely move over to alternative media and make people think they're getting alternative media when they're not. So keep in mind, don't just like all of a sudden say Tucker Carlson's a sellout, so forget him. We don't know which it is. I think it is healthy to keep an open mind that Tucker could be the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you disagree with him in some things and he's doing good work, or he could be, they're buying him. I don't know, but don't just disregard him. By the same token, don't think that he's a savior. It could be either. It could be a little of both. People, you ever notice a lot of people online tend to jump. This guy's the good guy. And then something comes out, oh my God, he's a total government puppet. And then it comes back. Oh my God, I was wrong. He's the good guy. And they like swing from one extreme to the next instead of kind of keeping an open mind and like saying it could be this, it could be that. I'm going to watch the facts and let the facts bear out over the course of time what this means.
Oh yeah, no, that's exactly the way to do. So then we're not jumping all over the place. We're consistent. We say we take you case by case. If you get something right, we will champion that thing. We'll say, hey, great job, Tucker. You called out Pierce Morgan. What a great conversation it was. We will celebrate that moment. At the same time, we'll be open-minded to what else is going on in the background. And if we see a red flag leaning the other direction, we're going to call that out too. So we can do both at the same time without doing this back and forth, extreme, jump to conclusions approach. We're going to keep this dialogue going, but be open to all of it. But I think it's important the viewers know they can do the same thing. It's okay to celebrate a moment that somebody gets right, whether you like them or you don't like them. We should celebrate moments of people we don't like. And we should condemn and call out the BS like we've been doing. I would just say Bernie Sanders comes to mind, somebody that we liked so much. You call it out when he gets it wrong. And I hope that MAGAs can do that with Trump. It's very, very important that we do this, not just with media figures, but with of course, with politicians. We have to be able to say, wait a minute, I like what you're doing, but that thing you did, that's not okay. If we all can have this approach, we'll all be better off, and we won't be all over the place. We'll be consistent with our principles.
Have you noticed something? And that is the skeptical people like me, I look and I lean one way and I'm always trying to figure it out, right? The MAGA people are on this sugar high. They're on this Trump sugar high. Have you noticed this? And so they've gone from completely not trusting the system. The system's a fraud. The system's out to get us. They're lying, blah, blah, blah. So now their guy is in. So now Trump is here. He's going to tear the system apart. He's going to rebuild it in the image of MAGA. He's going to do all of these wonderful things. Oh, gosh. So now that their guy is in, they're on a sugar high, a Trump sugar high. Woo-wee, he's there. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I didn't trust the system before Trump got in, and I don't trust the system now. And I don't believe that if Trump wanted to, even if he wanted to, he's not the board. You saw the board of directors sitting in front of him. They're worth $1.5 trillion, and there was like 5 guys there. And you think Trump's in power? You know what I mean? It's like he's an operative, and he may be allowed to do some things that he wants to do. But the Democrats, he's a complete evil moron, the stupidest person on the world. The MAGA people, he's a genius who's playing 7D chess, who's going to fix everything. And they got these extreme versions of what Trump is. And it's so they can't be the healthy skepticism that they had before Trump was in has completely dissipated.
Well, let's try to understand that, because I think that, we might have been guilty of the same thing. If you let's look at an alternate universe where Bernie had a little more like Trump in him. Let's say he did it. Let's say he actually, let's go back to not 2020, because that was just weird. Let's go back to 2016. Let's just say he actually stuck it to the Democrats. He actually did what Trump did to the Republicans. And he said, enough. We are taking back this country. You guys have hijacked it. You're all warmongers. So if he did what Trump did, and he took it back, we would have gone on board. We wouldn't have doubted Bernie, because he would have done the right thing and got his ass in there, which he deserved to be in. And then that would be us at that point. So I'm trying to get in that mindset and go, would we have been guilty of the same thing? And I think it's possible. A lot of us would. We would have said this, and then, and anytime he's making a concession or doing something out of character, we would make an excuse. We say, no, Bernie's playing 7D chess here. We might have been guilty of that. So I think we have to be empathetic to why they're there right now, because their guy did have the courage and the balls to go all the way. He didn't like go, oh, well, I'm going to support the other guy like Bernie did. Oh, we got to support Hillary. We got to support my good friend Biden, my good friend Joe. Like Trump never did that. So we were able to see it a lot easier that, hey, dude, you're just fooling us all, man. So we have that experience, so it's easy for us to see them right now. But that would be us, I think. If Bernie behaved more like Trump, we would be guilty of it too.
And I think you can't look at Trump in that extreme version and say, okay, he's just a big lying, cheating psyop, or okay, he's the look, I put it like this. This is where I am, and because people are like, oh, what do you think about Trump or this or that? I say, look, whoever's in office, if they do something that I agree with, I will support it 100%. If they're doing something that I don't like, I will fight against it 100%. I don't support the person, whoever's in there. I understand that we got a crooked system and that they don't work for us. They work for the board of directors, and we ain't on the board, right? And knowing that, you don't have to get mad at Trump. If you don't have to love him and hug him and get mad when he does stuff, because you kind of got an open view saying, I know how this game it's played. And Trump, he's an actor in the play, but you watch a play, and what happens at the end of the play when the curtain opens? The villain is there. The hero is there. The guy that got killed in Act 3, he's there. The people maybe that helped with it, and they're all hand in hand, and they all bow together, and the audience all claps. They all there.
Get flowers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they all get flowers. I love that theater, that analogy, Garland, because it's exactly that. And the audience stands up and gives a standing ovation. Thank you, guys. You entertained us. We were affected. We love what you did. You guys are so great. And those are the shots we've seen, right? That's Trump and Biden hanging out in the White House together. That's Obama and Trump at Jimmy Carter's funeral. They're laughing it up. That's it right there. There's your theater. I'm surprised we don't just drop flowers in their lap right there, and they can wave to the crowd with their flowers and their tears, going, thank you all for your support, your money and your votes, and giving us the power you gave us. Thank you so much. Oh, but they won't actually thank the crowd. That's the difference. At least the actors on the stage will thank the audience, right? Thank you. They always do that. They do the gesture. Thank you guys for coming out. These guys won't even thank us.
And you know what? That's why it goes back to what we said in the beginning. So this guy, Julius Malema, who is nominally the leader of some minority, small minority party in South Africa, he's the villain in Act 3. You know what I mean? He's the villain in Act 3. That's his part right now. And I'm not saying that he's playing the part. I'm saying that the machine has projected the villainy upon him. That's him. Who's the villain right now for Act 3? Oh, the guy named Julius Malema. Okay, there we go. Malema. And how do we know he's a villain? Here's a group. I guarantee you want to find out. You know what I love to do? I'm going to do it right now. You know what I love to do? Since it is, and I will tell people, if you want to learn a lot, always go to Google, because that's the machine's place, right? I'm going to search Malema, Julius Malema, right? And I will guarantee you that the machine now is on high alert to make sure that Julius Malema, he's the local demon now, whatever you think of him. Let's look. Musk versus Malema. Okay, so that's African. Look at this. Old video of African leader. He runs a small party. Chanting, kill white farmers, right? All this Malema stuff is out. Who is Julius Malema? Malema's political. Elon Musk demands sanctions over controversial speech. So they bring up an old speech from this guy a long time ago, and now we have to sanction him because of the speech that he did God knows when ago, right? So there's all of this. Musk is calling for sanctions. So the bottom line is this, and if we go, here's what I'll do.
If you click on the kill white farmers, I might be wrong here, but I saw somebody sharing that on Twitter, and pretending it was Malema when it was another guy, because they'll do the clip of Malema and then they'll cut to the other guy who's just a dude in the street. He's not even part, like, so they have to go even lower on the totem pole to find the oh, did you hear what he said? And it's just a guy in the street. I mean, we got people in the street here all the time yelling their mouths on a
Exactly.
foghorn.
And so now, if you see it as a play,
yeah,
Act 3, Julius Malema is the villain. And you know what? Here's the thing about it. This is what people who buy into that Malema is a bigot or Malema is a good guy. Putin's let me tell you something. If what we've gotten, here's a perfect example. What we've gotten for I don't know how long is Putin is an evil dictator. He's terrible. He's evil. He's the worst guy in the world. He's, eating children, whatever, right? So they've decided, the people in charge have decided to end this Ukraine conflict. When this conflict ends, I suspect they're going to make deals with Russia. They're going to say, hey, man, we want to get this from you. We're going to get tungsten. We want to get this steel. You got this. We got that. Ooh, we need rare earth minerals. And you know what you're going to see? Yes, Vladimir Putin is a very reasonable leader who is making, they will go from guiding you to hate Vladimir Putin as the most evil dictator overnight. When this thing is over and they want to get rare earth minerals from Russia, he's going to be the most reasonable leader. It's amazing how he's changed. Same with Malema. He's an evil, kill white farmers guy. If tomorrow something happens and Malema starts saying, I think we should sell our gold and oil to the United States at a discount price. Well, that Julius Malema has made an amazing turn, and he's certainly a nice guy. How they can paint people from the demon to the evil to the villain overnight, and people just sit there slobbering, reading this. Malema, he's a good. No, wait, he's a bad guy now. No, wait, he's a good guy again. And I'm just like, okay, yeah, sure, that's great.
Yeah, the memory holding is that's part of the conditioning, right? We forget the last thing before the last thing. We're only in the current thing, and you're right. That's exactly the face. And this is right out of Clockwork Orange, you guys. If you guys know the Stanley Kubrick reference, is we're all sitting there with our eye, right, and we're just like, toast the next thing, and that's it. So we're all hooked up to this machine, and they're feeding us the stuff, and they can change it at any point. And we lose that ability, that memory. We do a memory hold, and it means we forget the thing before. And it's easy to start the narrative over and do it. And Trump's a great example because we forget what a great, he was such a friend of everyone on The View and Obama and golfing and a reality star and loved all the roasting on Comedy Central, all this stuff. Then all of a sudden he wasn't. All of a sudden, as soon as he went down that escalator, 2015, that was it. He was the bad guy. And you forget everything that happened before that. And that's it. And so it can go both ways, right? You can turn the hero into the villain overnight. You can turn the villain right back into the hero the next day, whatever they want to do.
How about Morning Joe? Trump must be stopped. He's horrible. He's a fascist. The man's a fascist. He's going to kill us all, right? Trump wins. And, we might have been out of line a little over the top with that Trump stuff. Why don't we go down and have dinner with him? We'll talk to Trump and, these MAGA people. Remember, MAGA, they're a danger to society. Yeah. They're going to kill us all. They must be stopped. They are domestic terrorists. Yeah. Literally, Joe Biden told us that MAGA was domestic terrorism. They repeated it on CNN, on MSNBC. And now you go in there and they're like, well, we've got Joe Blow. He's a leader of the MAGA movement in Kentucky. Joe, come on in. Let's have a talk. And I'm like,
I mean, let's not forget the Hitler thing, because that was the big thing, right? The Hitler thing. We grew up, I remember this guy, and we were told in school, I remember this adage, like, if the most American thing we could do, and this is just all make-believe, but if we had a time machine, you could go back to 1938, you could find Adolf Hitler. I've heard this one. Have you heard this one? If we can go back to when Hitler was in a crib, you would do the heroic act of killing him in the crib so he doesn't do the thing. Really? So you need a time machine to do that. That's not even going to happen. But you have a chance to go to Mar-a-Lago with today's Hitler. And you're not going to follow through on the Hitler thing, because that was the thing, right? The heroic thing to do was to kill Hitler. Now you're going to go hang out with him in Mar-a-Lago. So the whole thing was all fake. It was all staged. And how do you get out of that? How do you? Well, you have to hang out with Hitler. You have to do this. So how do you do that? Like but that's what I remember being told, that's the thing you have to do.
Oh, how about this? Trump's Hitler. He's evil. He's a fascist. He's going to kill us all. Then Trump gets elected and he goes to the White House and meets with Biden. Hell Trumpy, come on. I wish you the best of luck. I think, let me show you around. Let's have a nice dinner, a glass of wine. And they're like, what do you think about Trump? I wish him good luck. And I'm like, and you people don't realize that in the same way they're doing that with Trump, they're doing it with Assad, they're doing it with Putin,
Yes.
they're doing it with Malema, they're doing it with whoever the hell. I remember a while back, and I was like, yeah, bin Laden, remember that? He was going to get us. Saddam was going to get us. It was ISIS, it was Al Qaeda. It's always, and then we find out, you ever notice this? That whoever the demon is going to kill us, we always find out that was the person that we were funding the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. ISIS. There you go. And all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, he's a sensitive terrorist now. We're going to put him in charge of Syria. He goes by his pronouns as he, him. I mean, that's not even a joke. You throw him on CNN on his description, on the title, on the bottom, it says he, him, a terrorist. He's just sensitive now. He understands humanity now. So we love that. Dude, we've been funding him the whole time, but you have to just change. You have to change the character now. He's the guy going in because Assad bad, a pronoun terrorist good, Assad bad. So yeah, there we are.
But you're in Hollywood. I gotta ask you this question.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you this question. The whatever they are, the Oscars, Gone with the Wind, Ben-Hur, The Godfather. These are, just some of the greatest movies, greatest work, artistry that's ever been done. And now they got a movie, Emilio Perez or something, that has more Oscar nominations than all of them together. And here's my point. If you want to make Emilio Perez, fine. You can make any movie you want to. Great, that's your movie. If you want to show it and say that's a great movie because I like it, or if somebody says that's a crappy movie because I don't like it, that's fine. But the idea that Emilio Perez should get more, The Godfather, Gone with the Wind, I've watched these movies. This is some of the greatest actors. The work, you watch it, the cinematography, you sit in awe and you think, man, they didn't even have the technology that we have now. And the crap that they did, it was miracle. This was artistry. And people have the gall to give this more nominations. Just the idea of the artistry of it infuriates me before I even get to the what it's about or all of that. That you would disrespect, that people who are in this particular, you know what that would be like? That would be like some guy in the NBA and they say, what do you think of Michael Jordan? The guy couldn't play. You know what I mean? You're disrespecting the entire game to say it's some guy who comes off the bench and averages 2.0 points per game and can't play defense and never got a rebound in his life is better than Michael Jordan, deserves to be. You know what I mean? It's just, it discredits the entire movie industry as an art. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, look, let's step back and recognize that there is no Godfather-esque movie today. It doesn't exist. Right. So you have to give, so let's just say that you have to give the accolades to something. So I think there's more of a commentary of where we are in the filmmaking industry today, where we can't champion a piece of work that will have a timeless effect on generations to come. We don't have that material. The reason we don't have that material is because the studios have been captured. There's an element, we are now dealing with this AI situation. There's so many factors that are leading us away from good filmmaking. The independent filmmaker is suffering right now. You have these cookie cutter storylines that are happening right now, and they're looking to these sequels and remakes and all this stuff. You can't tell an authentic story anymore. By the way, if you try to do that as an indie filmmaker, they will capture the film, they will change it, they'll take stuff out that shouldn't be in it, and they'll put CIA propaganda in it. You didn't really have that problem back in Brando and Coppola days. And by the way, we're talking about the Oscars itself. You're never going to have another moment like Marlon Brando not showing up to get his Oscar for Godfather and sending in the Native American leader, the girl that showed up and said, we committed genocide on people here, like on our own land. And getting booed off stage while he said, I'm not accepting this Oscar. Those days are over. We don't have that. We champion the military industrial complex in our films. We know the CIA has to approve all these films. We know films like, even when you go back to Saving Private Ryan, he's like, oh, I remember that masterpiece. What a great film. Was it really a great film? Telling us, brainwashing us that Americans are good when it comes to war, that we care, that we're going to send out a troop to go get a soldier because we care about his mom who lost 4 brothers and doesn't want to lose a 4th son. That would never happen. That story is designed to make us think we have a heart. So when it's time for the next manufactured consent of a war, we go, oh, that's right, Matt Damon, Tom Hanks. That's what that's about. So we're back to Amelia Perez. Again, this is the movie of right now. People are celebrating that. Like you said, we're not even going to get into the issues it's doing, whatever. Who cares? The point is, there's nothing else to celebrate right now. So I would look at the overall problem before we say, well, why are they giving these awards? Why are they giving these nominations? They're giving the nominations because there's nothing else to give it to. That's all. That's all it is.
Right. Because what it is, clearly, it's not a movie nomination. It's a cultural nomination. They're like, hey, this is a cultural thing that we like in Hollywood, so therefore we're going to give a cultural Oscar. It's completely irrelevant to the artistry. I like to use that word, the artistry of the movies. You look back to these movies. You look at what was the guy that was the dancer, Gene Kelly?
Yeah, Gene Kelly, yeah.
You look at these people and you watch one of these old movies and you see the ability of these people to dance. That was magic. You know what I mean? You saw these people. It was just magic. You were looking at the kind of things that people did. And now you got a bunch of schlumps wandering around reciting globalist talking points, and you're like, where are the Gene Kellys? Where are the people with insane talent and ability? And because it's about the narrative and about making sure that whatever the globalist narrative is, it doesn't matter if you have talent anymore. So they don't look for talent. They look for a person who's willing to say what it is they're supposed to say. And then they can do the cultural thing. Oh, we've got an all-female writing staff for the movie and, whatever the case. They can do all of these cultural things. Yep. They can push the CIA narrative. But what you don't end up with is on the waterfront. No. You know what I mean? You don't end up with that people that look at a movie that was made in black and white and they sit there today and they just stare and they have philosophical discussions about what was going on and they admire the incredible talent of the people that were doing that and the directors and it's not important.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been, I want to just people to know this has been happening for many, many, many years. Maybe it's just more obvious now because you got the DEI thing happening. So you had the CIA elements were a lot, they could be more secretive about it. Like I was thinking about the Saving Private Ryan reference. I don't think anybody at the time realized that was CIA propaganda. We can see it now. The DEI stuff today is so much easier to spot because maybe they're just being more sloppy about it. They don't care. But people here in Hollywood, just to be clear, from what we're dealing with as actual industry professionals, we're seeing the changes. They're right in our face. There's actually laws they're passing where you can't actually get financing from a script unless the main character is non-white straight male. That's a big problem. That's a huge problem. And then there's these different boxes you have to check on how many crew or how many supporting roles and what the story has to come from a real like the writer. Or there's all these little rules of you have to check three of four of these. So if you don't do this one, you have to do this one. It's like that never existed back in the On the Waterfront days and Godfather. That never had anything like that. You had good filmmakers that understood what it's like to tell a real raw story of a character-driven piece, and if it was done well, people could see it on the big screen and give it its accolades it deserves, regardless of who the main character was. That those days are pretty much gone. I think there's a chance we could maybe get angry about this now and be vocal, but it might be too little, too late. Just like the AI stuff I mentioned, it's a thing where we can complain about it and be like, "Hey, how did we let our industry get captured like this? We're upset. We're mad as hell." Well, okay, but it might be too late. I don't know what we can do about it, except at least point it out, at least have these discussions. And maybe Hollywood is just on its way down anyways, because people don't really want to see this stuff anymore. That's the thing. So I don't know where they think they're headed. Where do these studios think they're headed if the audience is done with this? I don't know where their game is as far as where they're going to get their money if we're not showing up. So we'll see what happens, but at least we're having the conversations. That's important.
You know, as a man who studies Zen, a term that's used in Zen a lot in a pejorative, in a negative way, is contrived. You want organic. You don't want things to
Mhm,
be contrived, right? Now, here I am. I'm a black person. And as soon as I turn on the latest chewing gum advertisement,
mhm.
there's a black female. You know what I'll say? Where's the Asian person?
Yep.
There's a black female. There's the gay person. There's the Latino. And every single one of them, black guy, white female, blah blah. Now, there's never a white male. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right to discriminate against black males, and I don't think it's right to discriminate. I mean, right to discriminate against
Yeah.
white men. They but leave Hollywood. Ain't no white man, no place for white males in Hollywood. That's just true. People get mad at me for saying that, but I know what my eyes tell me. But my point is this: I look at it, and here's an advertisement. And there's the Asian person, the gay
Mhm.
person, the black person, the Latino person, somebody over there, whatever. They're all the Eskimo, whatever the hell, right? And I look at that and I feel insulted.
Yeah.
It's contrived. It's not real. I thought if I'm turning on something, it's supposed to look like real life. Me and a couple buddies go to the bar, I never call and say, "Hey, you guys going to the bar?" Yeah. Well, if we can't find an Asian guy, we can't go. Oh yeah, well, I think I know an Asian guy. We better call him, otherwise we can't go because it couldn't be two black guys and two white guys, three black guys and a white guy, three white guys and a black. No, we couldn't just go with our friends because we all work together and we all hang out. No, we got to have an Asian. What about a female? Well, is she gay? Nah, I don't know. Well, then we can't. No, that's not reality. This contrived bull crap. I find it insulting, and it's not that whether it's a good movie or not, I just don't want to watch it. As soon as I turn it on, and there's the strong female woman beating up a bunch of guys because she's the superhero, and they're all just a bunch of idiots to get kicked in the groin and thrown aside. As soon as I'm like, it's just contrived bullcrap,
Yeah.
and I'm watching the same movie over and over and over again. I want to see a good movie.
Yeah. Well, I think the good movies are few and far between now, and I'll add one more into the mix: the fact that there's a huge push to stop having actors play parts of things that aren't actually them. That's the craziest part as an actor. 'Cause I'm a trained actor, and I'm telling
Mhm.
you, the point of acting is you become another character. And
Right.
now they're saying you can't do that. Brendan Fraser, a few years ago, winning Best Actor when he played the 600-pound man. There's
Yeah.
people you can't do that. You can't cast that anymore. It has to be a 600-pound man. How dare Brendan Fraser put on a fat suit? That's insulting to the fat community. Oh, I'm sorry, I
Eddie
can't say
Murphy.
fat
What was the
community.
Eddie Murphy movie where he put on the fat suit?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It was
what
a funny movie.
yeah, no, it was,
He was two people or
he was
something
playing a
like
bunch
that.
of roles. He does that. He'll play all
Yeah,
all the family
that's
members
right.
in but, like, now we're at a place, especially in a drama, because Brendan Fraser was a drama. It was like, "This is a very serious movie," and he was up for Academy Award, and he won the Academy Award, and there's people saying, "We can't do that anymore. We can't have a not" it has to be somebody who actually experiences being overweight. That's gonna be authentic. Well, like, wait a minute. Acting authentic. Okay, authentic is storytelling. The actor's job is to become these characters. Now you're telling me that acting is not about becoming characters. You're saying we can only play the thing that we are. If you can only play a gay character if you're gay. You can only that's what's happening now. You can only play a trans character if you're trans now. That's the new thing. And so this idea that you're coming up as an actor, you're like, well, how does the craft work? Well, from now on, we can't become other people. We have to only be the thing that the category we're in. So this is a layered problem, Garland, and it's really destroying the artistry because, as you mentioned, with art, it's the creative part that's being completely flattened. It's gone. It's like bulldozed through. There's nothing creative about the process anymore. It's all mathematical. It's cookie cutter. It's AI. It's recycled stuff. And now characters have to be the thing they are, and make sure it's not a straight white male telling the story, because that does not get studio funding.
And let me say this also. There was a show, I'm not going to mention it. I don't want to put you in a bad situation, but or possibly a movie, possibly a show. Okay. But here's the bottom line. And it stunk. And I remember reading and watching the people, and they were like, we had all female writers and a diverse, and they had the women out there, and it was a diverse group, the usual diverse group of female writers, right? And I'm thinking, if I'm watching the movie, I don't know who the writers were. They could have all been dwarfs. They could have all been old black guys. They could have been anybody. But I watched that movie and it was bad, right? It wasn't good. The writing was horrible. And you focused on who was writing it. So you did that for you.
Yeah.
You didn't do it for me. And so
No.
when I watch the movie and I say, I didn't like that movie, but it had a diverse group of female writers, so what?
Yeah.
If I buy a car and like it breaks down the first day and they say, Garland, good news, what? Your car was built by an all-female group of mechanics. All I want is a car that runs, right? And so this mentality that behind the scenes, and here's the thing. It's a CGI company. Hey, what do you think? We've got a diverse group of female people doing CGI and a diverse group of people doing this, doing our sound, and a diverse group of female gay and straight and this and that doing this, right? So now you have a bunch of companies that are putting together a movie, the sound, the writing, the this, and there is no focus whatsoever on having good people doing that. And I watch it and I'm like, what the hell is that CGI? The cartoons when I watched when I was a kid, but were hand drawn and the backgrounds were better than that, but there's no focus on that. And I'm like, I would not know who those people are, nor would I care. I just want to see the product. They're not making movies for me.
No,
they're making movies for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you imagine if this got so bad it went over into sports and our starting five of our hometown basketball team had to have a certain DEI checkbox, like you had to have an Asian in there, you have to have a white guy in there, you gotta have, I mean that's
a dwarf. I bet we started dwarf at center. There we go. We'll start the guy that's 4'1" at center because hey, that's never been done before.
Yeah. And that's discriminatory if we don't let the dwarf. We have to represent the community, the little people community, and get them in on the court. And people will want to watch that. No, they won't. No, they will not want to watch that because that's not the best product we could have. So we can win a damn championship. So I'm making that comparison because it's so ridiculous, but that's what we're seeing right now in the filmmaking arena. So you might as well do it in sport. If you're going to do that, you might as well do it in everything. But it is ridiculous. Obviously, no one's going to go cheer on their team if you have to check those boxes.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. But at any rate, thanks a lot. We've been here for an hour and a half. I took a lot of your time, but I had a lot of fun talking about a lot of stuff. I think it was just not a brainstorm session, but a lot of, I really enjoyed it and I really appreciate it. And tell everybody where they can find your stuff on Rumble.
Absolutely. Garland, we are the Homeless Left. We're on every Tuesday and Thursday. We actually have a show a few hours from now. We go at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. I think we got Kit Cabela coming on from Heartlands Media. We're gonna chat it up a bit. Craig Pasta will come on Thursday. So we always have people coming in and out. We love having you on, Garland, and I love coming on with you and having these discussions. It's so cool. Thank you. And I know if your audience knows me, that we've dealt with censorship. We've dealt with being terminated on YouTube. That's why Rumble, the Homeless Left on Rumble, is our home base, but we have started up on YouTube again. We have a burner account now because the Homeless Left on YouTube is terminated. It's gone because we challenged Big Pharma, we challenged Israel, we challenged the military industrial complex and all that stuff. But you guys can also find us now on this new channel. We call it our burner account, but it's up right now. It's THL Presents. It's on YouTube, but our main channel is Rumble, the Homeless Left. And like I said, we're on later today and Thursday. And thank you so much, Garland. I always love our conversations.
Thank you very much. Let me check before I go so I can tell everybody and make sure. Yes. Well, at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to have Dmitry Polyansky, the Russian ambassador, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Great, brilliant guy. It's interesting where you see some of these Tony Blinkens and some of these schmuzzles that we have running around who are supposed to be in charge of diplomacy, and you talk to the Russians, the Chinese, some of these other people, and they're like fluent in Arabic and all of these other languages. People who, if you're going to be in the Russian foreign ministry or some of these other countries, right? A lot of these other countries, even India, foreign ministry, you've worked in diplomacy. A lot of times, these are people whose families were diplomats, who grew up traveling around, who speak various languages, who have been trained in diplomacy for years and years and years. And you see these other countries who have diplomats, who are trained diplomats. And you come here and somebody like Tony Blinken, whose job was like to carry Joe Biden's umbrella for the last 20 years as his assistant, suddenly he's it's just, I don't know. It is what it is, you shake your head.
Yeah, but this is a great I'm glad you're having that interview. I'm looking forward to checking it out after our show's done. It sounds awesome, and it's a great conversation.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll talk again soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. Don't forget, follow me on Rockfin. Follow me on Rumble. Follow me on what the heck is that other thing? BitChute, right?
Shoot.
Because you never know when they throw me off. So I put it all over the place just in case they throw me off one. You can still find it. Thanks a lot, everybody. And as you can see, everything going across. If you can become a Patreon member, buy me coffee, anything of that like that. If you can afford to support the channel, that's great. If not, doesn't matter. Feed your family. Just make sure you share this on all your social media platforms because, of course, as I said, we are heavily held back by the algorithms, and it's up to you people in the chat. It's up to you people. I like to use that term. Remember, that used to be a big thing. You people, people would freak out over that, right? It's up to you people to share it all over the place because, needless to say, Google ain't going to do it. Thanks a lot. We're out.